Hi, I'm Jeffrey Driscoll.
And I'm Jim Kerr.
Welcome to 15 Minutes of Fame. Well, folks, we're going to start off on a somber note, something we don't usually do, hit 15 Minutes of Fame, and express our condolences to the family and friends of Canadian freestyle skier Sarah Burke. Passed away, Jim, on Thursday after a training accident the week before. Absolutely a pioneer in her sport.
Yeah, a fixture on the X Games scene. A big reason that Superpipe is going to be part of the 2014 Games, and would have been a realistic medal hope for Canada. So it's very sad news, and a lot of reaction out of the sports world this week. But very, very sad news. So our condolences.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to continue on the somber note here and talk a little bit about another death, the death of Joe Paterno. Joe Pa was 85 years old, Jim. He was the football coach, you'll remember, at Penn State until this year when a child sex abuse scandal led to his firing. He died from cancer, and I mean, the story here is that just mired in scandal right up to the end, and it's really, the whole story is just horrible.
Yeah, and he's, this is probably more what he'll be remembered for, unfortunately, even though, he's not at the center of the scandal per se, but it's kind of a shame that he had to, kind of go out like that. But, that's just more bad news for Penn State.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move along then, start getting a little bit happier here. Well, we'll talk about Sidney Crosby. I guess not.
Yeah.
Because there's maybe some good news and maybe some bad news mixed in there, Jim.
Yeah, he's out seeing more specialists. First, it was a chiropractic neurologist, which I feel I can't even say that without getting a raise in pay. Like that's a little ahead of my pay grade. But it's a guy who helped him recover last time around. And that's maybe a good because it sort of worked the last time, but it's maybe a bad because it sort of didn't because he's back on the sidelines. And he's also apparently going to see this Ted Carrick, chiropractic neurologist.
He's a spine specialist, I guess.
Yeah, and he's helped other high-profile people in the past. So, but it all kind of leads down to the are we in desperate situation here with Sidney Crosby? Like he seems to be kind of trying everything out there, and that that's obviously what you do, but it makes it feel like it's maybe a more serious thing than first thought. Yeah,
it seems like they're grasping for straws at this point, Jim. I'm sure Gary Bettman himself is lining up doctor after doctor to try to get Sid back on the ice, I'm sure. But I mean, you blogged about it recently, so I'll ask the question here too: is it at least time to at least consider shutting him down for the year?
You have to think about it at least, I think, because you look at other guys who have missed long stretches, including Sidney Crosby, but I'm talking more of a Marc Savard who, he's unsure about his playing future, and Sidney Crosby's not there yet.
Yeah. But
he's also not. He's probably closer to that than he ever thought he would be at 24 or however old he is. But you look at Marc Savard, you look at Chris Pronger, he's in pretty bad shape too. From what I heard just last week, he's not leaving the house at the moment, I think. And you gotta think that it might be in the best interest of all parties involved to see if maybe another. But on the other side of that coin, though, is he took almost 11 months off there, and he came back, and it happened right away. Who's to say that the same thing won't just happen again? And once again, what kind of is scary to me about this is that it wasn't really anything special of a hit that put him out again. And they're not calling it a concussion. They're calling it concussion-like symptoms.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, so are we still talking about this first concussion? And even when you get to that, which of those two hits gave him the concussion in the first place? I think we all think it was the David Steckel hit, but he played again. And if you get another concussion while you have a concussion, that's bad news. So if the second hit from Hedberg, I believe, from Tampa Bay,
that's right,
was a second concussion, and we're talking about you're not symptom free over a year later, and I think he was for a short period. But it's a very tough situation, and the Penguins really have to figure out, well, what's best for everyone here.
Yeah, absolutely. It can't be good for the NHL for Sidney Crosby to sit on the shelf, which is why they're going to try and do everything they possibly can to get him back. Speaking of injuries, we've been poking fun here at 15 Minutes of Fame. Beleaguered Isles goaltender Rick DiPietro and his string of injuries a bit lately. But what about the Washington Capitals defenseman Mike Green? He's kind of in the same boat these days.
I feel bad for guys like this, and
right?
I know we both do, but we're also jerks.
Exactly.
So it's a tough, it's a tightrope for us. But,
it is.
Green's out 4 to 6 weeks after abdominal surgery. He's played just 10 games this season, 12 since last February.
Yeah. Battling
shoulder, knee, hip, head, and even worse, he's a UFA this summer. So he's got a slew of injuries: head and shoulders, knees and toes, and he's in a contract year. Never a good time to be to be sort of perceived as a bit of a Band-Aid, but abdominal. The groin thing was really bad.
Yeah.
He was having a lot of trouble with that. So to come back and suffer a different injury, it's really, I think, would be quite tough on a player. I think concussions are worse because you don't know when you're back. These ones, it's okay, 4 to 6 weeks, but then if it's 4 to 6 weeks here, then 4 to 6 weeks again after. It's really got to be kind of depressing, I would think, for a pro athlete like this. So hopefully Mike Green can turn things around. I'm sure there'll be someone willing to give him a shot, but his value is obviously going to drop a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm sure somebody will give him a shot. He's still got to be considered, even with the injuries at this point, one of the premier offensive defensemen in the league. So
I'd take him.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. And we can't talk injuries and not discuss the team with seemingly the worst luck of anyone, the Edmonton Oilers, Jim. Everybody's talked about this to death already, but we just can't pass it up. There's no way. The Oilers' luck is so bad, Jim. How bad is it? When it comes to injuries, guys are getting almost decapitated in warm-ups these days.
Yeah, if Rick DiPietro was a hockey team, he'd be the Edmonton Oilers.
Absolutely.
Right? This Taylor Hall thing, he's already back in the lineup, which is great.
Yeah.
Jordan Eberle's back. That's great. But the number of injuries that guys are getting in the most ridiculous ways for the Edmonton Oilers so far in 2012, really, man, you just got to shake your head. But Hall's got the big...
Yeah, it looks a little like Frankenstein.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
You can even talk to him about, even last year, you said 2012, though. 2011, stuff like Ryan Jones jumping over the board and splitting Sam Gagner's hand in half,
That's true.
Crazy stuff that you just don't see in any other team.
Yeah. Let's talk about Ryan Nugent-Hopkins tripping over the blue line and just kind of awkwardly falling.
Totally.
Jordan Eberle just kind of gets tangled up with a guy. Nothing that you'd remember. He was back soon, but again, sprains his knee. Oh,
absolutely.
And then Taylor Hall, poor guy. But in warm-ups against the last place team in the league.
Oh, God.
You end up losing. Oh.
Sure would like to see some of those Oilers come back and maybe even get a win. Sometime in 2012, Jim?
What do you think hurt more that night? Taylor Hall getting his face split open or losing to the Columbus Blue Jackets?
Oh, God. Losing to the Columbus Blue Jackets.
I think that's a tough. That's close.
It is close. Jeez, what an absolute mess. How about, Jim, the championship football game there between the Ravens and the New England Patriots? Goes right down to the end. And the Ravens shank a 32-yard field goal. Think they might have a touchdown right at the end. Everything happening with the last minute. What a great game, eh?
Jeff, a song comes to mind.
Yes.
The Lonesome Kicker by Adam Sandler.
Yes.
Look it up, folks.
Absolutely.
Because there's going to be one lonely kicker on the Baltimore Ravens football team.
Nobody's going to be even going to be able to look at him. Poor guy. But the
I was looking at Laces Out.
Laces Out.
Another pop culture reference,
exactly.
I was...
Look it up, folks. We're going to move on to the GABBYs now. These are good and bad by you. We take the best and the worst in the world of sport, and how about a good or maybe even a great, Jim, to Alexander Ovechkin, the Great Eight, and his rap debut. We've seen a lot of sports people doing raps, and all of them have been great, including this one. Of course, absolutely. So he was alongside Russian rapper Sasha Belyi. Here's a snippet of the verse he dropped in English, of course. This is translated. On the Nat team since 17, scored 100 points in a season, gold medal in Canada in 08. So that was kind of, I hope at least it rhymed in Russian.
I hope so too, because that's hot fire right there.
That is hot fire.
Makes me want to learn Russian, really, so I can cop Sasha Belly's latest LP.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's classic. Let's give a good to Terrell Owens, sure. Jeff. Appears to have landed on his feet, kind of. He signed with Indoor Football League team, the Allen Wranglers. Now, if you haven't heard of either of those, I forgive you, because I've only heard of them because Terrell Owens has just signed with them. That includes a stake in the team, so I don't know what they're worth, but he's part of the ownership group now, so that's good. In all seriousness, though, it does kind of sound like T.O.'s in a bit of a slump right now in terms of his life, so hopefully this kind of helps him turn things around a little bit.
It's tough to feel bad for Terrell Owens because of all the stuff he's done over the years and all the pranks.
But he's a character.
He is a character, absolutely.
You need that in sports.
No.
Name another player who's gonna do a press conference and cry and give us the kind of theatrics like we've seen with T.O. over the years.
Absolutely. How many times though, Jim, have you done an interview, with your shirt off while you're doing crunches? I mean, that's something that
usually scares people away, so not very often. That's how I avoid interviews.
That's actually how you avoid interviews. Finally, folks, we're going to give a good to the 5-year-old, ladies and gentlemen, son of Arsenal captain Robin van Persie. The English club has apparently been trying to sign young, this is right, Shaueel, to their youth program. Only in soccer would you see a contract offered to a 5-year-old.
Yeah, it doesn't really happen anywhere else.
No, it really doesn't.
Good for young Shaueel.
Exactly.
Will start earning his keep at a young age. Because Lord knows I'm still not earning my keep, and I'm 45.
You do look like 45.
On the bad side. On the bad side, Jeff, let's single out the Oakland Athletics. They're apparently considering signing Manny Ramirez.
Old man Ram.
You'll remember that Manny Ramirez he kind of retired after another drug test came up positive, so he was banned. But then he got the itch back. I don't think he retired on his own terms, so he wants to come back. So they've said he'll have to serve a 50-game ban. So the Oakland Athletics are going to maybe give him a shot despite the 50 games on the sidelines. It's not all bad, though, Jeff, because at least we'll get to see Manny being Manny again, which is always, just like T.O., a little bit of fun.
You were just saying how we need those kind of characters in sports, and Manram is absolutely one of those guys. The Oakland Athletics, I think everybody in the mainstream knows now because of the movie that they're not known for having a whole lot of money, so they'll take a gamble on something like this to get a few more people coming through the gates. Good for them, I guess. I'd like to see Manny, too, so... let's give a bad to a long win streak that finally came to an end this week. The Trinity College Bantams squash team fell 5-4 to Yale. Yale, always Yale. Losing for the first time in 253 matches. If you win consecutive national titles, it can be a two-peat or a three-peat. But what do you call it if it's 13 straight, Jim? The Bantams hadn't lost since the 1997-98 season. Absolutely fantastic. Too bad that they lost it, though.
Yeah, squash.
Man.
It's a competitive sport.
Absolutely.
Or something like that. Yeah. How about a bad to the Baltimore Ravens fan that says he spotted quarterback Joe Flacco riding a skateboard on his driveway, and that's fine. You saw him, but he called up the GM. Called up the GM of the team to complain. He apparently said, "You got to let Flacco know we're trying to win a Super Bowl around here." Easy, super fan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, they're not going to win a Super Bowl this year, but it's not due to skateboarding.
No, it's not due to skateboarding. It's due to bad kicking. That guy's never going to hear the end of it.
Yes.
Okay, the punchline this week, folks, is actor Rob Lowe. You'll remember him from such fantastic movies like Anything in the 80s and Nothing Since Then, and Indianapolis Colts owner Jim Irsay. Lowe tweeted this week that his people, because Lowe's got people, were telling him that Peyton Manning was about to retire. What do you think about that?
Well, I'll tell you what Colts owner Jim Irsay replied. My sources tell me Rob will star in an epic remake of Deep Throat with aging porn stars and a four-finger circus clown.
Oh, that's awesome.
What?
How random is that? Like, was he sitting at home?
You know,
like,
if only this guy could. He tweets a lot.
Oh yeah.
You know,
totally.
if only he could come out of his shell a little bit, it would just be better for sports.
The circus.
But wow, that's the last time Rob Lowe will.
Yeah, totally. Last time Rob Lowe is going to open his mouth on the subject.
Just
exactly.
Random.
Yeah, completely random. Completely random. Well, folks, that's our 15 Minutes of Fame up for this week. Join us again next week when we get a whole new 15 Minutes of Fame. In the meantime, I'm still the full head of hair Jeffrey Driscoll.
And I'm the slightly less hairy Jim Kerr.
Have a good week, folks.